Welcome to the Guides Angle, a full-time fishing guide's view on all things related fishing, both fresh and salt water, where we discuss interactions with customers, the behind-the-scenes day-to-day grind, and even, yes, things we like and don't like within the guide business. I'm your host, Michael Littlejohn, with co-host Terry, and sit back now, relax, enjoy, and let's get right into this week's episode. All right, here we go. Ready?
Yep.
All right, so we're back. Here we go.
You say that every time. You're like,
well,
we're back.
It's because we're
back.
Sometimes we take so much time between these episodes that,
right?
I start feeling a little lonely about all this stuff.
I know.
There's someone driving in a car right now who's listening to this.
Wow.
And as much as they're wondering, what are they going to talk about? Mm-hmm. I'm wondering exactly what are we going to talk about. That's what I love about these episodes of this podcast. By the way,
It's
Michael
random.
Littlejohn, got my awesome wife here, Terry.
Yes.
And it is the Guides Angle, where we break down our opinions on all things related.
We need to give some opinions.
Fishing guide related, which is exciting. It's what we do. It's our career.
Yes.
It's how we make our money to make our house payment.
And my car payment.
Speaking of car payment, you have a new car.
Yep.
Or new to you car.
New to me car. Yep.
Yep. It's exciting.
1979 Buick. No, I'm just joking. I have a little expedition.
So,
A little get around car, so I can get I can pull a boat if we need to, and I can carry supplies to the lodge and whatever else.
All kinds of good stuff.
Carry grandbabies.
It is an exciting time. If you are listening to us, we are glad you've joined us. We are going to have a pretty good one tonight. We've got a lot to talk about, including kind of how we got started in this business. Kind of the story behind the story of kind of what happened and what things went right, what things went wrong to get us to the point where we are right now. But we also have all kinds of fun little things that are going on in the fishing world that, we probably need to address. Deion Sanders loves he loves to fish.
Oh, yeah.
And his son, I don't know if his son loves to fish or not, but his son definitely, he likes to play football.
Yep.
And I believe he's drafted finally.
Yeah.
So,
I
hey, did you know that Deion Sanders lives about 20 minutes from our house?
This house?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Did you know that?
No. Where does he live?
Canton.
Terrell?
Canton.
Oh, he lives in Canton?
Yeah, he lives.
No. Oh, he does not.
Okay, whoever's listening to this,
He does
do a
not
little
live in
fact
Canton.
checking. That man lives in Canton on a ranch just outside of the city limits, but his mailing address is Canton, Texas.
I don't know about that because didn't he work in Colorado? Didn't he
Babe, it's
he jet sets?
It's like Kevin Costner worked in Montana.
I don't think they filmed it. They actually filmed it in Texas.
A lot of it they did film in Texas, but
Some of it,
those mountain shots, I don't think were in Texas.
I don't know.
But the whole point is a lot of these celebrities, they, like Michael Strahan, he's on whatever he's on in the mornings on ABC, but he may live in Florida.
I don't think he's on ABC. I don't know.
You just never know what exactly. Maybe he's on Fox. I don't know what he's on.
He's not on Fox. I can assure you that.
Why is that?
Because I've not seen him on Fox. So he's on
I think he's on the
ABC or something.
Which is, so, but anyways,
you were talking about Deion.
A little bit of a
Shador he got drafted, right? Did he? There's so much AI crap out there, y'all. I saw videos of him turning it down, and I'm like, I don't think that's real.
We live in this world now, right?
It's crazy.
That is just crazy. Like, how are we ever going to look on the internet and truly believe what we see anymore? You know what I mean?
Know.
I mean, it can. Have you seen those the reels and the videos of where the wife tricks the husband and he's sitting down in front of the TV and he's eating his chicken wings and he's doing his thing and just minding his own business. All of a sudden, it's like, dirt,
Oh yeah.
dirt, national emergency, and it's like at the request of the federal administration of blah, 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 you know, the United States has been our attacking, and in 12 minutes, you know, we're going to have, you know, contact points in Houston and in Los Angeles. And I love watching that stuff.
Don't ever do that to me. I'll probably come unglued. Yeah. I'll start digging a hole somewhere.
But, you know, one of the reason I brought that up about Dion and Shador is that, you know, Dion loves to fish. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's a huge bass fisherman. There's a story back in the day when he played for the Cowboys. He actually snuck into Las Colinas. You know, the lakes that are there around Las Colinas. There's all those lakes there.
Right.
He would sneak in the afternoons and the evening, and he would bass fish.
Really? And
he got in trouble. Yeah, he got caught. And I mean, I don't think he got, you know, big trouble, but he got caught fishing. But the man loves to fish. Yeah, I mean, he bass fishes all the time.
Didn't Shador go to Trinity and didn't he beat your record, your passing record or something? I don't know.
That's not a subject that I really want to talk about.
Well, so what was it? So I know you went to Trinity. You called high school. So you had some kind of a record.
So yeah,
he was a quarterback. Yeah, he played.
So we were we set the record with back-to-back state championships. I played quarterback, which was cool. You know, we had a good run, and you know, the record was going to stand for a long time. And and then Shador came in as a freaking freshman.
Whooped you.
Started as a freshman, so he had 4 years.
Whooped it.
I set the record in 2 years, but in 4 years he smashed the record.
Yeah.
And it's a record that'll probably never be broke.
We're talking like we know him. We know him like nobody else. Like we don't know.
Julia actually graduated. Julia.
Yeah, she did.
Daughter. She graduated.
I don't think she knew him though.
She didn't know him real well. So.
Yeah.
But you know, kind of funny. You know, everybody's kind of tied together in one way or another.
I know. It's like. It's such a small world. It's like everybody knows.
I always wondered, you know, if Dion's going to see one of these really big catfish that we catch. And he'd be like, dude, Tawakoni's like, you know, right up the street. Like, you know.
I think you say he's a bass fisherman.
He's a bass fisherman. He actually has a really cool bass cat.
Really?
Bass boat. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think it's sweet.
Dude, how do you know all this? You've been TikToking or reeling?
No, just, you know, us fishermen, we tied.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I don't know about all that.
We're tied. We know
we literally, I mean, not that it's even really related whatsoever, but, you know, it's so funny how we had this video that you did about 10 days ago or something like that. And it literally, I don't know what's viral anymore. 100 million views is probably viral, but it got like over 1.5 million views, which was so funny because it was nothing but a sabiki rig.
Yeah, it was.
There was no video of us. No boat, no guide service, no nothing. Just drop it down a sabiki rig, and it got like 1.5 million views.
So the deal there was we were on a school of fish out in deep water, and I was in the catamaran.
Yeah.
And I had always wanted to fish a sabiki rig, and we were sitting there fishing, and trip was almost over. We had a lot of fish in the cooler, and we were kind of just like, you know, finished up our last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And they were biting so good on a slab and a crappie jig. Vertical fishing, like 35 foot of water. I was like, man, these things would probably hit a sabiki rig, you know. Yeah. Too bad I ain't got one.
Because the crappie jig's real similar to the little
It is, yeah. It's
rig.
nice. It's pretty similar. And I got to thinking, wait a second. I'm in the catamaran. Let me open up my seat. So I lifted my seat, which is where, you know, I keep like one of my tackle and stuff.
Right.
And sitting right there in front of me, the first thing that I saw was an R&R, 6 hook sabiki rig.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, dude, I got to tie this on.
You got to try it. Because you had mentioned that before, like, one of these days I'm going to try this on Tawakoni, like when we're on the coast.
Yeah. So I dropped it down. I didn't. The customer dropped it down. He's like, dude, what is this? It's like a, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's crazy, like dropping down a trot line. I was like, yeah, we're going to go down there. So he drops it down the bottom, immediately hooks up with one fish. And so he's reeling it up. I said, no, just leave it down there. And then all of a sudden, wham, it hits it again. I'm like, see, there you go. And then he's like, okay. So he kind of is like, cool. So he waits, and then wham, he hits it again. I'm like, dude, I don't know how many are on there now. You got a bunch. I said, let's start reeling it up real slow. And it feels like it's getting hit. It's fighting. Like he's got, 2 hybrids on.
Yeah.
And we pull it up, of course, we're videoing. That's what the video
Yeah.
is. There was 4 on there.
4 white bass.
4 big white bass.
That's
on
so
there.
funny.
So-
That would have been cool. It's not like we do that all the time. Like you never.
You really
reeled it
can't.
down
It's
again.
so dangerous.
Yeah.
Even like offshore. We use sabiki rigs every single day.
Yeah.
Offshore especially during amberjack season, and those things. I mean, blue runners, which is what we're targeting.
Yeah.
On the rig, and I'm telling you what, when you string her up, that's what we call it. When you string her up, because you got 5 or 6 hooks on these sabiki rigs. If you got 5 or 6 blue runners on a sabiki rig, it's like catching like 3 hybrids. I mean, it's the line. I mean, it's just boat over. And
digging,
the problem is when you get them up to the boat, then you have to bring them in. Well, the problem is, you can't just bring them in and then just lay them in the boat, because then all those hooks just flop around and they tie up with each other.
Yeah.
So you have to. The customer has to keep their rod tip up really, really high.
Right.
And the guide has to work down the line, taking the baits off to keep everything erect so that none of the hooks, roll up on each other and create this mess. So, and then as you're doing that, you got hooks bouncing around and,
it can be crazy. I've been stuck a few times.
I've never been
there.
stuck, but I am extremely careful.
Well, I get stuck on those stupid hornbellies.
Yeah, you got to know to grab them on their backs. If
man.
if you forget and you grab those hornbellies up under their belly like that, they have a horn. That's why they're called hornbellies. They got a big old horn right there on their, right
I think that's what I was stuck
It's like an anal fin, but I mean, oh my gosh, dude, that thing.
Yeah, it hurts.
That'll get you.
Yeah. Everything in the ocean has teeth.
Just about. An amberjack doesn't have any teeth.
Really?
You can lip an amberjack. Now, it has teeth. It has like that sandpaper, like a catfish or like a bass.
Yeah.
Like a hybrid. So it's just weird, but they eat their fish whole.
Yeah.
They don't take a bite like a barracuda or sometimes even a snapper or a shark or anything like that. So
that's crazy.
it's exciting.
I know when I first started fishing offshore or just in the ocean in general, I'm like, can I grab it? Because I remember wanting to grab like a bull red, lip it. And you're like, no, it's a snapper. And you're like, no.
No.
Everything in the ocean has teeth.
Everything in the ocean either bites, stings, or scrapes.
Yeah.
Like a shrimp. A freaking shrimp will put a hole in your hands quicker than you can say sick them.
Yep. That's funny.
Shrimp are terrible. Sit there and they'll flip and all that stuff. And it's a mess for sure.
There's also those little rosies, remember? Was it Noel that was grabbing the rosy reds this year? And
I don't know. Maybe if somebody's listening, I don't think the rosies are poisonous.
I'll put a picture up for you guys.
I think it's some of the other stuff that they were catching out there that was bad.
Someone knows. Zach said the rosies are
really
poisonous.
If Zach knows. Now I do know this. I had a customer on the boat a couple days ago. I'm trying to think who it was. Oh, it was Chad Lampman and Tracy and them. They had oh my goodness. I'll have to remember, huh?
The piebald?
Piebald?
The piebald fish?
Well, no, this was a fish at the ocean.
Oh, well, you said they had and I was like, it's not like a common fish.
We can talk
catch.
about that piebald here in a minute, but it was a fish that they caught and it electrocutes you. So I don't.
An eel?
But it wasn't an eel. It looked like
those snakes that are in the water.
No, it looked like a parrotfish.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it looked like a parrotfish. So I messaged Zach about it, and he's like, "Yeah, it's just a mild kind of pop. It doesn't. It can't really hurt
and there's
you,
something on the beach that can sting you too. What is it?
A jellyfish?
It's a jellyfish. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've never been stung by a jellyfish either.
I haven't either. I'm pretty careful.
You're pretty lucky. You almost not last year.
Oh, you're talking
a few years ago.
Shark?
Yeah, you almost got sharked.
That one was really bad.
Yeah, you almost.
God was definitely watching over me on that one. That could have been one of those, and it was on video.
Yeah, and it was the same season, same summer where the guy got his pinky bit off.
Oh yeah, do you know he got that back?
Yeah, I remember.
I don't know how did they get it back because the shark left, so he must have
I don't think it took it. I think
it was hanging or something.
I don't know. It was gross, but
people can fill that in. So what was of all? Here's a question for you. Let me take a drink of my coffee real quick.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm. Everybody drinks coffee about 8:30 at night. Don't
Yep, you drink coffee different. You drink it and you around your teeth and you take.
Oh no, I don't move my teeth because I'm afraid it'll make my teeth.
No, well, how do you do it then?
What I do is I put it in my mouth, and then I seal it off towards the back of my mouth, and then I kind of move it around with my tongue a little bit to get the flavor, and then I send it on down the
So
throat.
weird.
But
You're so
I know, but I don't want to like bring it forward because I'm afraid,
You do something weird with your mouth when you drink coffee.
I mean, I need to wipe my teeth. I mean, they're not terrible,
You
but they're
drink
also they're
like
not the best.
4 cups
They're not
of
as
coffee.
wide as yours.
Probably 4 cups of coffee a day.
Yeah.
That's
Hey,
a lot.
real quick before we go into a couple things that we want to talk about, there was a piebald catfish
Yeah.
caught.
It's on our Facebook, y'all.
And speaking of Facebook, if people want to go, the best way to follow us, really, if you want to see the most latest and greatest, Instagram or Facebook. Facebook is where we post all our content. It runs
Yeah.
over to Instagram. I had a guy tell me that he could not tag us in Instagram. So that's
Yeah,
something we
I
might
looked
wanna-
at it. I didn't see it.
didn't
So I
see
don't know.
anything?
And if he's not a friend, then maybe
If
that's
he's not a
I
friend
don't
on
know.
Facebook,
I don't know
maybe?
how it works. I'm not on Instagram a lot, but if you guys do want to follow us and see what we're catching on a daily basis, see the unique things that we're doing, then follow us on Facebook. It's Michael Terry Littlejohn.
There you go.
Michael Terry Littlejohn. You can also look up Michael Littlejohn's Lake Tawakoni Guide Service, but we post everything on our personal page. It's not public, but you can follow us and then or friend us, and then on our business page we post just strictly business. But yeah, that piebald was so cool. There's a video.
Have you ever seen one?
Oh yeah, you've caught many of them.
That's the only one I've ever caught.
That's not true.
Noel's caught one.
No, you've caught one. But the first one I've ever seen in my entire life, you caught like 10 years ago. Yeah, a customer caught
I
it.
do remember that. I was
Yeah.
wearing. That's right. I didn't
I was
have.
like, what is that? It looks like a cow.
I forgot my hat that day.
Cowfish.
I remember that, and I got blistered. Yes,
Yeah.
you're right. It
And then
wasn't.
Noel's caught a couple. Noel caught a huge one.
Yeah, Noel caught like a 25 or 30 pounder.
Yeah, crazy.
But the one that we caught, that Sammy caught
Yeah.
a few days ago, that was the prettiest one
It was beautiful.
I've ever seen. It had crystal blue eyes.
Yeah, pearly
and
white skin.
It was either white, like the whitest of white, or the blackest of black.
Yeah, it was so cool.
It was unbelievable.
And she was so cute. She was so proud of that.
Sammy was excited. Sammy's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
And she's been fishing with us for a long time.
Yeah.
Her and, Chad and Tracy and Wendell, they've been
Yeah.
fishing.
They're
They got a
good
trip coming up here in 2 or 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. So,
They're cute. They like to fish. Well, they like to fish.
oh yeah, no, they can stay out and fish.
Yeah, it don't matter.
If it's 6.5 hours, we're going to fish 6 hours, 30 minutes.
6 hours, 30 minutes, and 25 seconds.
And we're going to get a bunch of fish.
Unless Chad sees something going on, he'll be like, on the way in.
Yeah.
And you're like, yes, sir. They're good people, though.
So what's your favorite of the boats that we run? And a big shout out to the guys that work with us: Mickey, Casey, Jeremy Robinson, Noel Ibarra,
Chase Fitzgerald, who just had a baby Friday. Today's Sunday, 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Lakeland. I think it's Lakeland.
That's a cute name.
It's so cute. Oh my gosh, I hope that's her name. I'm terrible with names. I think it's Lakeland.
if they didn't name her Lakeland, that's a good name.
It's a good name. I think it's Lakeland. She's so cute. So our guy Chase Fitzgerald, they just had a baby. just a second.
And Joey Foster. A big shout out to these guys.
Yeah.
Lately, they have been busting their tails.
Yeah.
It is crunch time here at Tawakoni.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a couple of boats that are going to be headed to the coast. Well, one boat for sure headed to the coast, and then one a little later in the year.
Mm-hmm.
But and speaking of that, we've got so much going on over the next couple of weeks.
Yep.
Noel and I, we've got to meet. We're going to be breaking down plans for saltwater and getting kingfish rigs together, and we've got to restring some rods, get our snapper gear all. And
We have a lot of group trips too coming on.
oh my goodness, we have so
There's just-
many. Yeah, we got. It's the busiest time
It's
of
like
the year.
it's 5 boats a day, almost doubles every day for as long as I can see.
Yeah, it's busy.
It's
And
crazy.
The good thing is that we're coming out of our more
Tougher.
difficult weather window.
Yeah.
April, especially the first couple weeks of April, is always tough.
That was terrible. This
And we
year.
always have tons of trips booked that time of year. People wanting to fish. They've been cooped up. Everybody wants to get out and fish.
Yeah.
And then the wind blows 100 miles an hour, and it's just hard to get out.
Mm.
But starting to come on the backside of that. It's been beautiful the last couple of days.
Yeah, it's been
Tomorrow's going to
nice.
be pretty. Then we got a little bit of weather coming in Tuesday and Wednesday. So
Mm-hmm.
Dad's headed down to Port O'Connor tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So to pick up a boat.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. Big shout out to Mr. Luis. I think his last name is Medina. I think. I'm not sure though. But Luis has done a great job restoring a boat that we've been building and we've been working on. So it's exciting. So
yeah. You were going to say something before you started talking about the guides. What were you going to say? You go, before I do that.
There's no telling. If I could go back and listen to this episode, I'd know exactly what it
I know,
is. But
right?
I'm sure the listeners are listening to it. They know what it was.
I'm like, I don't remember. Yeah. Oh, no, you asked me about the boats.
Yeah, I did. I wanted to know of the boats that we run, what is your favorite boat and what is your least favorite boat that we run?
My favorite
So we run,
boat?
we have 6 boats that we have.
See how he just cut me off?
No. I want the listeners to kind of have an idea. She's got a choice here.
I was going to tell you all the choices, but he cut me off.
Okay, well, let's go with it. Come on.
The boat I'm going to tell you that I like, since you asked, we don't even have anymore, so it's not even a choice.
So if Brandon Brown is listening to this episode, what boat is that?
It was the Americat.
She doesn't belong to us anymore.
I know. That was my favorite boat. That was the boat that I used.
What is it about it
Everything
that you
else
like?
It was a great boat. It was just handled the water great. It was
Easy to drive.
It was super easy to drive.
Yep.
It drifted great. It was just had tons of room. I mean, had that big front deck where I could hop up there to put the troll motor down, and it was just great. T-top.
So now that you don't have that boat, what is your favorite boat?
The Blazers are great. Our Blazer Bay boats are great. I really like, the Twin V's great, but it's, Tawakoni, it's overkill, sort of. But I like the pontoon, the tri-tune that you did. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
got a little bit of a gas. You had some gas in it, or water or something. Didn't you?
so we got some water in the fuel, but I think that was.
So it's going to be off the circuit for a little bit.
Yeah, I think that the water got in the fuel from its origination. I think that there was just water in the fuel tank that I couldn't see, and so when we filled it up and ran it for the first time, I think that's it's got some water in it.
That's a fun boat, though. If you guys haven't seen it, check us out on Facebook and look at that boat. It's super cool.
Yeah,
and you built it like. You started out with nothing, just 3 tunes, and
not even no floor, nothing,
no floor, nothing.
Wiring, no motor.
Nothing. No console, nothing.
Nothing.
You put everything in it. Blazer Bay, they hooked us up with a cool console. Sorry.
Yeah, Dad drove to Pensacola, Florida, picked up actually 2 consoles.
Yeah.
Anybody needs a Blazer Bay console?
We have an extra one now
for sale.
We'll give you a heck of a deal.
And we have a boat.
Brand new, too.
We have a boat that we're getting ready to sell.
Yeah.
If anybody wants a 2016 Carolina Skiff, it's a 257. It's a 26-footer. It's got a 150 Mercury on it, 4-stroke.
It's a good-looking
Pretty
boat.
low hours, great boats, in really good shape. Has a...
At all of our boats, we use that one the least.
Yeah, it's always been a backup boat for us.
Yeah, it's a backup boat, and it's just like... So it hasn't been, used and abused, not really
like
abused.
some of our
we don't
boats.
abuse our boats, but I'm just saying,
the thing is boats just get abused if you're going to be a guide boat. But this one has always been our reserve boat.
Yeah, it's our backup.
We bought it as a reserve boat. It's always been treated that way. It's got lithium batteries on it. It's got a 36-volt trolling motor. It's got an iPilot trolling motor. It's got a Helix, 12-inch Helix graph on it. It's great.
Isn't there since it's the guide's angle, isn't there this new? I'm not trying to talk smack about Humminbird, but in this new Humminbird unit that we got, is it the Solix or what's it called? The new one?
It's the Solix, which is not a new graph.
Yeah.
The new graph is, and it's not the Apex. I think it's called the Explore series. That's their new thing that they just came out. They actually got rid of the Helix series.
Yeah.
Which is the series
that's crazy because
that's what we like. It's a non-touch screen, which I prefer a non-touch screen.
Yeah.
The problem with guides, when you're touching the screen, if you're just out fishing casually, a touch screen is not that big of a deal.
Right.
But a guide is very interactive with his graph for hours upon a day.
Yeah.
And a guide's hands are never clean. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. We got you. If you're catfishing, you got cut bait, you got scales, you got slime, you got punch bait, you got crap all over your hands.
Yeah.
If you're live bait fishing, your hands literally are covered with slime and scales. And if you're interacting with your screen, touch screen wise, and you're touching it all the time, it just makes your screen a disaster.
Yeah.
So the one that you're talking about, our Solix 15, it's touchscreen, and
It's not real user friendly for us in that respect.
In that respect, and it is a battery hog. I don't know what is up with that particular unit, but it really likes a battery. So it's a good unit. It's very clear.
Yeah, we bleed Humminbird. Like, we love their.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to buy one of their Explorer units, their new units, and try it and see what it's like. I wish they'd have a unit out there that was non-touchscreen. I think the Explorers are all touchscreen.
Oh.
I wish they had like a Helix series.
Just keep a rag up there.
But I think that's just the direction that everything is going.
Yeah.
I will say this: if Humminbird's listening, their new iPilot series, their new iPilots, the Spot Lock is awesome, and their new remotes are fantastic. Regular battery power, you don't have to charge them. They got a really nice screen that's really lit well. You can see it; it feels good in your hand. Great little remote.
All that makes a difference, especially if you're fishing every day.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm sure that the new, their new. I wish I remember the name of the trolling motors. I know Jordan Sanders over at Forks got one, and he says it's awesome. But the new ones are supposed to be really bomb-proof and really, really durable. So
we were talking about boats earlier. So for a guide boat, I think our Blazer Bays, those have to be like the best guide boats made. Those are some excellent boats for what we do.
Yeah,
especially when you put that console up front like you did. Yeah. Like, you were the first one out here that had one, weren't you?
Yeah,
on Tawakoni?
On Tawakoni we were. There was a few of them on Texoma at the time, but they were just kind of coming out. I think Tommy Blansett had one.
Yeah.
He was one of the very first ones on Texoma, and then I know that we were by far the first ones on Tawakoni to have one.
Yeah, and then after we got one, we actually got two.
Yeah,
and
we
then
had
like everybody else.
Once we got our second one, then it just kind of started just snowballing. Yeah, and then pretty much every guide that had pretty much. I mean, Joe Reed didn't. Yeah. He's still got his Gator Bay, and there's some guides on our lake that have retired. I mean, you don't see Jimmy Smith anymore at all.
They retired, but I haven't seen him.
Jimmy retired. Joe's still going. I see Joe out there every once in a while, which is good.
Yeah.
George Rule.
We ever talked about how we got started? I know we talked about how you originally got started in guiding, but we never really talked about like how this happened. Like, you guided yourself through college. Like, everybody's heard that story. We did that on our first episode.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever talked about how we started guiding together and like how you got that a few years before this all blew up.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a crazy story. I don't know. Maybe somebody's driving right now and they want to listen to the story. I don't know.
We got time.
But I mean, from college, I worked through college at Cedar Creek, running crappie trips, helping to pay for my tuition, which was nice. But that's where I kind of developed my passion for guiding.
Where'd you go to college at?
Southwestern University. So, but here's the thing. I didn't stay with it. I didn't think that I could make a living really doing it. This was like internet was just coming out, but not everybody really even used the internet because it was so new.
Back when they had like web TV and
AOL was the only you've got mail, that kind of thing. So and I remember cell phones were just coming out. My first cell phone that I had was a BlackBerry.
Yeah, you had that when we met.
And I thought that was the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And so I didn't think that I could make a living as a guide. And I didn't grow up around fishing guides.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. My grandfather, his love and passion for fishing with his family is the reason why I became a fishing guide. There's no way. There's no other way to put it. As soon as he got back from the war, he immediately started fishing all the time, and then my dad was born.
Wait a minute. Didn't he take his wife, his bride fishing on their honeymoon or something like that?
They went, so he got back from the war. By the way, he was a POW in World War II, was,
amazing.
Shot down out of a B-24 bomber, and it's an amazing story. I wish I had time to tell the whole story, live to tell the story, obviously, because I'm here. But, so he comes back from the war. My grandmother waits on him, she doesn't even know if he's alive. She got a letter that said he'd been shot down, then didn't hear from him for 7 months. And I'm sure she thought, like every other woman who lost their loved ones during that time, they weren't married, but they were together, and she didn't hear from him. Well, lo and behold, he shows up.
He was a POW though.
He was prisoner of war for almost 9 months.
Gosh.
Yeah, in Germany. Anyways, he comes back, immediately marries my grandmother. They were married for over 6 years. And on their honeymoon, of course, he goes fishing, right? Because that's what you do on a honeymoon. And he brought his brother, BJ, and then his wife, Ruby. They came along. That was back in the day when, the more the merrier.
Yeah.
Today you don't take a couple friend, on your honeymoon with you.
Yeah.
But back in the day, it was a pretty normal thing. So they go camping up north towards Turner Falls on the Texas-Oklahoma border. And they get up there. And they stop up in the hills of southern Oklahoma, decide that this is where they're going to stop, put their tent up. So they park the car and put the tent up. And they said they were dancing in the headlights for a while and just enjoying their night and everything. It was time to go to sleep. So they went to sleep, and about 1 o'clock in the morning, they all were woke up by all these honking horns, headlights and all this stuff. 2 cars had come, and they had made their entire camp in a road.
That's funny.
Somewhere like in a park or somewhere, on a back road or whatever.
Yeah.
And, so my grandmother was like, George, I can't believe you put our tent up in a road, but anyways, they fished their hearts out, and, that was the beginning, his passion for fishing. And I don't think it was something he did as a kid.
Yeah.
I think it's something that he independently taught himself to do.
Mm-hmm.
He lived in an area where, you got to remember the lake boom happened in the early 50s.
Yeah.
Tawakoni was built in the 50s. A lot of your lakes were built in the 50s and 60s. So he was a part of that new era of lakes, And so he came to Tawakoni in the late 50s, early 60s, and fished it for crappie and talked about how good it was. Mm-hmm. But that passion for fishing and being in the outdoors, they bought a lake house at Cedar Creek back in the mid to early 70s when Cedar Creek came online. I think it filled up like in 76 or 77. Someone can fact check me on that, but I think that's pretty close. And they bought a lake house, one of the first lake houses bought on the lake. They bought it. And then, of course, my dad obviously is a part of this thing now. Now he's fishing. And then, of course, I come along around that time, and then I'm brought right up in it. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm telling you right now, and I got to thinking about this. My mom was a big part of this because she was married to my dad.
Yeah.
But, and she came along on a lot of those ventures, but most of those adventures that we did was my grandfather and my dad, and then me. If she would have been the kind of woman that was like, no, talking to her husband, my dad, no, you can't go do this. No, you're gone too much or whatever. Mm-hmm. Well, then I would have missed out on all that. And it might have changed how I was. Who knows? I mean, who knows, But so kudos to my mom. I give her a little shout out if she's listening to this for being so unselfish on letting her husband and her son go apart from her on the weekends and go do this. But, anyway, so that's kind of how I got my passion for fishing.
Right.
Got to do all kinds of cool fishing. Grew up, offshore fishing, saltwater fishing, Port O'Connor, Galveston, Cedar Creek. We went up to, Colorado. We fished for trout. We went all over. We went to, Arkansas and trout fished, South Louisiana and fished. We went all over and fished. So, which is really exciting. And then that brings us up to this point where, in college, I couldn't think of any other better way to try to make some extra money than to take people fishing on Cedar Creek, which was where I cut my teeth and, where I learned to fish, where I had my confidence. So, which is where I originally started my guide service. So, back before you. Mm-hmm. And then we met. Of course, this has been on episodes before. Where,
we talked about how we,
where you were like, what in the world? What's that boat doing?
Yeah.
So, That's what I use for my work.
Yeah.
So,
It's crazy.
but as you and I, we moved on in our, we got married and moved on. I went out of town. I mean, I've been
Are you talking
guiding.
about how I got started?
I had been guiding for,
Well, we skipped a big part. So when you were after college and lots of things happened 10 years in, you had other jobs. You were like starting a sauce business and stuff, and you were guiding a little bit on the side, but that took you were so busy.
Yeah.
But when we decided to move to Tawakoni, that's when you started doing it more full time.
Yep.
And I still had a job, so I was, really helping a little bit, but not a lot. And then it really took off for you. I think you were in a couple of papers, a couple of magazines, and did a couple of not a podcast, but like a couple of interviews on the radio kind of thing. And then I kind of came into it.
Well, it was that's a really interesting story. I mean, you have a female guide, that a husband and wife type thing, and that's not very common that you see that. And I remember us talking about it, and you were like, no, who would fish with me and all this, and it's a lot of work. And I think finally, part of it was I was coming home, having the best time of my life, and you were coming home and like, this sucks.
Tired, yeah. Because he would come home and be like, just tell me about his day. Or I would go up there and watch you clean fish and ended up helping you clean fish. We were doing tournaments and stuff back then. So I was on the water a lot. I pre-fished with you all the time. And if you ran a trip, I'd get in the boat. And when you're done, I'd go out with you. And I kind of knew how to catch them. Like I'd watched you do it enough and fished enough that I knew what I was doing. But you went on a sales, didn't you go on? You helped a buddy do a sales.
Sam
thing?
Allen was starting up his locker company, Longhorn Lockers, and
that's right.
He'd started it before then, but he was trying to grow it.
Yeah,
and he had a trade show down in San Antonio, and he just called me up and he's like, "Look," he goes, "you can talk to people." He goes, "Come down and work the booth with me for a weekend." And I don't think I had any trips, or we were slow, or it was a slow
I think
season.
you booked it out or something.
I think it was like September, October, and we were slow, and so I was like, I'm going to San Antonio, So I went down there and helped him, and then that's when it happened for you.
That's right. Yeah, I got a call. Someone wanted to book a trip with you, and I'm like, he's not here. He's out of town. He'll be back next week, and they could only fish that day. I think it was on a Saturday, and they were like, "Well, are you available?" And I went,
Never thought about
I
that.
could be. Let's see. Don't know how to launch the boat. Yep. Don't know how to drive the boat. Yep. Don't know how he's catching fish. Yep. So I literally said, yeah, and went and bought a guy's license for whatever it was like $30 or $60.
It was like back then it was about 110.
100 and something. And met him that next day at the lake, launched the boat, took the cast net. I knew where you were catching bait. So I went and got the bait tank ready and caught bait through the net, caught my bait. And then we went out and freaking killed the striper. Yeah, we didn't live it out, but we did good. We caught fish, and I was like, that was fun. That was so fun. And I didn't even tell you anything about it.
No, I didn't find out till that night.
Yeah, because I posted it on Facebook.
I was like, what in the world did
you do? Yeah, that was so fun.
Like, did you take care of the boat? Did you put it on the trailer right? Did you trim it up? Did you hit the motor on the bottom? I
don't know, probably did, but who knows?
No, but you did amazing.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
And you're like, the next weekend, where'd you go?
To Georgia.
To go buy me a boat.
Yeah, Dad and I, we found, because we were in love with the 24 Skeeter.
Yeah.
It was just the right concept for us. This was before Blazer Bay boats were out. Yeah. And you liked the Skeeter a lot. Of course, it was a great boat and still is a great boat. Mm-hmm. But we found one for sale that a guy had in Columbus, Georgia.
Yeah.
And sure enough, we figured it out real quick. And Dad rode out east with me.
Yep.
And 2 nights later, we rolled in about midnight with another Skeeter.
Yeah.
And we had 2 boats.
And I quit, and I started running trips.
You started running trips.
It's so simple, but that's how it started.
And that right there is how it happened.
Like how it started. It's crazy.
And then the calls kind of went from Michael's available, but but Michael's taken, Michael's booked, but you know what?
Yeah.
I'm open. Why don't you go with me? And then within a year or two, you became the desired guide, and there were, people calling in that wanted to fish with you that didn't want to fish with me.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a regular that's fished with me like 5 times. Why are they fishing with you now? Which was great. It was just cool to see.
Yeah, we were posting a lot of videos. We're doing a lot of YouTube stuff. We're doing a lot on Facebook, when really Instagram was barely getting started. So I think, I don't know. It was fun.
Let's just be honest. People still try to get you to fish.
I'm not done. I'm good.
Mama says she's
I'm too
tired.
busy. Gosh, I'm so busy. I enjoy it. I do some saltwater stuff with you, but I enjoy it, but I just don't have time. I just don't feel like I give the customers the experience that they deserve, I want to give them the best.
I think you ought to come out in retirement, and I think you ought to at least channel
not
catfish.
doing it.
I really do. Anyways, well, that's cool. Let's move on. What else do we have on this little list here that we've made of things that we're talking about?
Because we try to stay on topic, y'all. We need to talk. I'd like to talk about, where's it at here? Oh, I want you to do a fishing report.
Well, and speaking of that, I'm behind on the Parks and Wildlife report.
Oh, you got to get it out.
I'm in trouble.
It's due tomorrow. Why? Wednesday?
Tomorrow's Monday.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Due tomorrow. Today's Sunday. We don't even know. We're so busy, y'all. We don't even know what day it is.
Yeah, I need to write it tomorrow.
Okay,
but
fishing report.
The fishing report at Tawakoni is pretty darn good.
Yeah.
So if you're a bass fisherman, you need to get to the lake. Bass are killing it right now. Willows, flipping, small flukes, anything plastic behind the bushes back there. It's really, really good. I heard some great reports. I saw some guys catch some really nice bass on the rocks, throwing rattle traps. So that's if you're a hybrid striper fisherman and a white bass fisherman, the fish are literally right at being spawned out. I'm still seeing some fish with eggs in them, but for the most part, they are about done. And you know what that means? They're feeding up like crazy. We're seeing, I ain't gonna lie, we're seeing surface feeding. There are birds working at certain parts of the lake at certain times of the day, and it's not typically right at daylight when you think it would be. So that's going on. Swim baits are key right now. The eating catfish bite, the eater-sized blue cat bite, is wide open. It's as good as it can get. I had Chad and his crew out for 2 days. We had 100 both days.
That's crazy.
One day
like 3 to 4 pounds.
One day we had 100 in literally 2 hours and 15 minutes. That was the day we caught the piebald catfish. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
You could only fish like 5 rods, and at that, everybody was jumping over everybody trying to get the rods.
If you go back, if you guys will go on our Facebook, that Michael-Terry, T-E-R-I, Littlejohn, if you find us on Facebook, scroll down or whatever, and look for that video of that piebald, and you can see when they were showing off the video how the other rods start going down.
Yeah, we're sitting here
cool.
we're trying to get a video of Sammy, holding up the catfish, and then you can hear Chad in the background, rod down, he's run over, and I swing back and look at him for a second. It was like that the whole time. So yes, the shad spawn is going full speed.
Yeah.
So that is one of the reasons why the blue cat bite is so good as well. We're cleaning these fish. You can cut their bellies, and you could probably clean 15 fish and have enough bait for the next day with all of the shad that come out of their bellies. Yeah. So they're eating like crazy.
I know a lot of people get confused on like this time of year when they're like catching catfish, because there's channel cats and there's blue cats, and I think they get confused on what to fish with. Like punch bait for blues or punch, I think people get confused, because I know this because people try to buy bait from us in the store, and we just sell some worms, but they get confused.
Yeah, it is. So you can mess up. You can fish the wrong way for the wrong fish.
Yeah.
So while the shad spawn is going on, fish with fresh shad, cut it in half, use a small 2-3/0 circle hook, about 2 ounces of lead. You want to throw up by the bushes, and you want to fish with cut bait on a windblown bank.
Yep.
In 1 to 3 foot of water. There you go. Don't use punch bait on this kind of a deal. These are blue cats that are up in the shallow water chasing the shad. They're only up there for 3 or 4 weeks, and then they move kind of back out to the mid depths. And then right behind them, when they move out, guess what moves in? The channel cat. And the channel cat go in there, and they're not going in there so much to chase the bait. They're going in there because they're going to start moving up to spawn up in those willows.
And that's where you can use corks and
That's when
punch
you
bait.
want to switch over from a cut shad to more of a prepared bait, like a cheese bait, a punch bait, a dip bait of some sort. You want to probably put it under a float, pitch it up in those willows,
that's so
1 or 2 foot of
fun.
water, let that cork kind of work its way back in some of those cracks and crevices, and that sucker's going to go under, set the hook, and
use braid and spinner rods. That's what you need for that.
absolutely,
for that channel cat bite.
When you're channel cat biting, the braid doesn't sink. Mono sinks. Braid floats, which is nice. That way, if you're fishing a cork and you got floating line, when you set the hook, you're all there. There's no lag.
Right.
With monofilament, first of all, you got the stretch, and the mono sinks, so you get a little bit of a drag when you go to set the hook. You don't get quite of a popping hook set.
That is so fun. It doesn't matter that they're 1 to 3 pounds. You get a 1 pound channel cat
On light tackle.
with the cork, corking like that. Gosh.
Well, it kind of takes you back to your kid times, I mean, nobody doesn't not enjoy watching a cork go under.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Little
I don't care who you
bobber.
are.
Yeah, it's fun.
So a bobber, Is it a cork or a bobber?
It's a cork. I don't know. I'm just saying that, like, when you're little, you use those little red and white bobbers, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We use corks, but
Yeah. So that's the fishing report. It's good. The crappie are, they're all right. They're all right. They're getting better.
Yeah.
I'm just not a big fan this time of year. We caught some really nice ones the other day on some docks.
you did.
Yeah, we came in with a good mess
Yeah.
of big ones, but it's definitely one of those things where if I'm running a crappie trip on Tawakoni right now, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
You're running a catfish trip, I got confidence. If I'm running a hybrid striper trip, I've got confidence. I'm running a white bass trip, I got confidence. If I'm running a crappie trip right now on Tawakoni, half the fish I cleaned had eggs in them still.
Yeah.
So they're not pulled off completely of their shallow stuff.
Yep.
So we're waiting on those numbers.
We're going to we have a group trip with our guides that we do every year, and we're taking them to Palestine, and we're going to do some dock shooting. That's going to be a lot of fun.
That's
it's
always
coming up in
fun.
a couple weeks, right?
A couple weeks, yeah. We're gonna go over there, and that's always a fun time.
Yeah.
There's always a big wager for the longest fish, and plus, I mean, we catch a lot of fish over there. We have a ton of fun.
Yeah.
We load the cooler down with drinks and eats, and we tell stories. We laugh. It's a great time for us to finally go. It's the only time of the year that all the guides get to fish in the same boat with each other.
Yeah.
Maybe at Port O'Connor, maybe is there a time that all the guides are together in the same boat, but it generally is not that way.
Yep.
So, which is
It's
crazy.
going to be fun. We should take the tune.
Yeah, right. I don't know.
Look how much room we'll have.
There'd be plenty of room for
Dude,
sure.
but yeah, I mean, we could just all sit down on one piece of the tune. And
Problem
just,
is
dock
those
shoot.
rails on the sides. It would be hard to shoot with those rails. You would have to everybody be up in the front.
It
shooting.
would be so fun. We'll see.
Yep.
We'll see. I'll put a picture up of our tri-tune that Michael's gotten ready for us. It's pretty cool.
It's exciting. We got a lot going on. The lake's finally coming down.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see finally. And I'll tell you what, the dock lights at Open Water Lodge, I'm seeing tons of fish. The people that are renting cabins,
Yeah,
and
they're
going
killing
out
the fish.
on the fishing pier at night.
OpenWaterLodge.com, y'all.
Yep, they're killing them. I'm seeing. Matter of fact, some of these customers are catching 20 and 30 fish a night off the dock on small
People
rattle
love
traps and
it.
stuff.
They have
Yeah.
such a good time, and there's tons of room out there. I've seen 20 people on that pier fishing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So yeah,
Yeah.
but anyway, well, cool. Well, yay. I'm glad spring has sprung and it's getting warm and fishing's good and people are around and
Yeah,
it's all good.
I'm just glad Dad's going to Port O'Connor tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't like to talk about Port O'Connor very much, I can tell.
I don't really care. It's just like whatever.
Everybody wants to talk about saltwater.
We'll talk about saltwater.
Saltwater is where it's at.
No, it's not. Tawakoni is
See?
our home.
There you go.
This is whatever.
I could talk
enjoy
about
it
Port
all.
O'Connor and talk about red snapper fishing and sword fishing and all kinds of fun fishing.
Go ahead. We got 10 minutes left.
Well, let's talk about what is your favorite fish to catch in the Gulf of Mexico?
No, I don't know. Flounder, and we're not flounder fishing offshore, so. It's like,
Okay, so
I enjoy it all. It's all fun.
I will give you this. Flounder fishing on rod and reel is about as fun as it gets.
It's just like crappie fishing, or it's so fun. But I don't know. I like offshore. I like snapper fish, and I like the excitement of not knowing what's going to come up on the hook. I like the deep drop. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get all that. We're about to gear up for all that, and we go down June 1st, take the boat down, get everything prepped, and then
we go down
back.
before June 1st because June 1st is opening day of Snapper.
Okay, so we go down May 31st, the day before, because we have trips on the 31st. The 31st. On Tawakoni.
Trips here, yeah.
So we'll go down the day before and just get you some. What's to say? It's like,
She's not a big Port O'Connor fan, but it's okay.
I like it. I enjoy it. She's
got a POC shirt on right now, but
it's because they fit so good.
It says Tawakoni on her head, and it says POC on her chest. So.
Yeah, if you ever want to get some of our swag, we have a store and that we sell all of our apparel.
You know, one of the big dilemmas is how do people get swag if they don't fish with us and they don't rent a cabin?
You don't get it. Sorry, we don't ship it. I'm not doing all that. I can't. I don't have time to do all that. You know.
Yeah.
Set up a website and put all of our apparel out there, and then I don't have time.
There goes your water hotter.
Hey, not one drop spilled.
Out of your Stanley.
No, I got for my birthday.
Yeah.
No, Christmas.
So one time we were offshore. I'll tell a quick offshore story, and then we probably ought to jump off. I was with Johnny Moore. I was with Jason Davis.
I already know what you're going to say.
And the forecast a couple of days out to this day that we were going offshore, a couple of days before, there was a huge tropical system way down South Mexico, and the hurricane or tropical system or whatever was not gonna come up our way. But for whatever reason, these 15-foot seas were going to come up to where we were. Mm-hmm. But if you looked at the tide chart, or you looked at the sea forecast, it was 12 to 15-foot seas at 30 seconds.
Yeah, they were spaced out.
So you had massive waves, but spaced out 20 to 30 seconds apart.
Yep.
So I thought, oh my goodness, this is going to be fun. Mm-hmm. And it really was. It was like riding on a big, hilly road,
Yeah. One minute you see another boat over there, the next minute you don't.
You're down. So it was like that. It was great. We had a great time. Well, while we were out there, we had some storms around. It wasn't terrible, but it was like, it is in the late summer. In the distance, you got a thunderstorm or, whatever, a little pop-up or whatever. Well, in one of these pop-ups, not far from us, a water spout came down. Mm-hmm. And
it's a tornado.
It wasn't a big one. It was one of these kind of smaller ones.
Yeah.
But we all looked at it and we all thought the same thing. We got to go check this out, So we had bean bags in the boat. And so we kind of ease up, to it. I'm looking at it. I'm kind of measuring it up a little bit, kind of looking at the water, and it's sucking the water up a little bit. But I'm looking at stuff on the water and it's not terrible. So I'm thinking, okay, let's just give it a try. So Johnny's like, are we going to drive through it or what? And I'm like, yeah, I guess we'll run up here next to it and see what's going on with it,
Yeah.
So we pull up in there, and it starts, all of a sudden things start, getting pretty windy, and then I just said, well, let's push on through. So I kind of drive through it. Freaking the bean bags go flying out the boat. One of them goes way up in the air.
Do not recommend doing this, y'all.
And I'm like, oh my God, by that time, Jim's hat just flies off his head and it's gone. I'm like, we got to get out of here. I think he's going to take off my T-top off my boat. So I got it. It wasn't big. So, I hit the throttle within 3 seconds. We were out of it. But I will never, and if I have guys listening to this that work for me, don't ever drive through a freaking water spout. That was a horrible idea.
It was a dumb idea. I've seen TikTok videos of people doing that and getting hurt.
Yeah, it's not a good idea. I will tell you this, and this one was a little bitty one, like one that was almost not even a water spout, and it still took stuff out of the boat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So can you imagine one of them real big ones we see that are out there? They're like massive. That would probably pick you up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or turn you over or something.
Boys will be boys, and they do silly stuff. And then they learn from it. And as long as they live through it, they learn and then they move on.
There you go.
And you're one of those kind of guys.
Live and learn, baby. Live and learn.
Yeah, you got it.
Well, all right. Well, let's hang this one up tonight
All
and
right. Yeah, I'm getting sleepy.
see what we can come up and talk with here in a few days.
Yeah.
We've got a lot going on. We're excited. This will be a good week. We're going to try to catch a lot of fish, have a lot of fun, make some people really happy. If you're listening to this podcast tonight or this episode of this podcast, and you guys want to hear us talk about a certain subject or things that you kind of you've listened to, and some other things you want to listen, maybe expound on a little bit more, put it in the comment section below, and we read that stuff, and we'd love to see what it is you'd like to hear about. We'd be more than willing to probably open up a can of worms and start sharing it. So
yeah, sounds good to me. All right.
Well,
good job.
let's
boss.
let's go.
All right, bye. Thanks for listening, y'all.